Hello and welcome, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Matt Gets It podcast. This is the sports debate show discussing the biggest sports topics. I'm Matt Martinez. That's Billy Ryan. And we got a handful of topics to discuss today, folks. First things first, Billy, how you doing?
I've been good. Been out for a little bit with work, been a little crazy, but glad to be back.
Yeah, it's been some time between our last episode, but it's all good here. We got uh, multiple interesting things to discuss. Our first topic of the day, Billy, is going to be UFC 316. So we're going to recap this past weekend's pay-per-view event over in the UFC. UFC 316, folks, took place from the Prudential Center, in Newark, New Jersey. We had the rematch, Billy, in the main event, and it was a highly anticipated one to say the least. We had Merab versus O'Malley 2, and apologies in advance for butchering Merab's last name. Man, those Devolushi, no,
Davish,
Devilishvili, right?
Davishvili.
Davishvili, there we go. Gosh, that was way off. Apologies, because Merab's a cool dude, man. Like he's a cool guy. But getting back to the fight though, Billy, like I said, uh, and still Merab is still the champ. He defeated Sean O'Malley via submission in round three. He had a guillotine choke, and my gosh, Billy, this fight was like Merab looked like a completely different fighter out there, like another level, right? Like this guy like continues to like evolve like Pokemon style. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
Um,
I'd like to hear your thoughts on the fight, Billy.
yeah, absolutely. So, Merab Davishvili truly has one of the best motors in the game. Like, he can truly just outlast. His endurance is truly unreal. And that's just like where his game is centered around. He's going to tire you out and then just beat the crap out of you and choke you out, wrestle you. And I was honestly even impressed with his striking. He caught O'Malley a few times with a couple good shots. I like kind of wobbled him, or at least gave him a good step back, a nice jolt. And I think the way he performed was just like an absolute masterclass of how he fights. He fought his fight, and I think Sean O'Malley played into his game plan more than executing his own game plan. And everyone knows that obviously Sean O'Malley's an elite striker. He's best on his feet. Obviously, he's got a pretty decent ground game too, but man, these Eastern European guys, these Georgian or the Russian people, they are truly like the best ground game and truly always have like the best motor. Like they just never get tired and they could just keep going.
Yeah, talk about levels, right, Billy, when it comes to the ground game, right? Merab, notorious for his ground control, and in this fight, it proved dividends. I mean, he had nearly 6.5 minutes of control, and he had five takedowns. He shot 12 total times and had secured five of those takedowns, and then ultimately got the guillotine choke. So, um, coming into the fight though, Billy, it was an emphasis on O'Malley's part that he wanted to avoid the ground because he wants to be that striker that he's been known for to be. He's I mean, highlight reel honestly on his feet. Like how
Yeah.
many walk off knockouts does he have? Like that one over God, what was his name with like he has like the crazy little mustache.
Yeah, I forget his name too.
God, it slipped my mind. But anyway, like you know what I mean? Like just straight right and just walks off. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But knockout power, right? One shot knockout power. But it just seemed that O'Malley just cannot solve Merab at at all. Like Merab was just able to do whatever he wanted, and O'Malley, former champ, was really one of the budding stars of the UFC in the last couple of years, right? Uh, Getting really well known, has a massive following, and everyone likes him. He's flashy, you know what I mean? Especially when he had the colored dreads and stuff. But this was different this time, Billy. He
Was.
came in no dyed hair, and he said that in the first fight maybe he was trying to force a beef between the two, but in this fight he was approaching it with showing more respect to Marab, but maybe he showed too much respect maybe Billy, is that a possibility that he showed too much respect and maybe was a little too hesitant?
I think that's something that plays in the mental of a lot of fighters. Like obviously there is like the mutual respect there, and I think there is a slight edge to when you get people off their game, when you can get a rise out of them, and invoke your game plan. I think that's something that Sean O'Malley did. That was like something Conor McGregor was great at. Um, but I don't know. Within his that could be an ego check for him too. Like within
Hmm.
losing two fights to Merab, I wonder where this puts him out. Like I obviously saw that he was ranked number one still in that bantamweight ranking system for the UFC. So, I think there is eventually going to be a third fight, but I think somebody's got to fight Marab first. I don't think O'Malley gets obviously the next fight, or I think O'Malley has to fight somebody in the top five and prove he still needs to stick around.
Yeah, Marab's in an interesting position because it's like, who does he fight next? You know what I mean? He's already fought. This was already the rematch with O'Malley, so it's like, does he try to clean out the division again and fight all these guys for a second time, or does he maybe possibly? He kind of hinted at it, maybe taking a super fight and fighting Pantoja, but Pantoja would have to go up, right, and wait to challenge him.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
so.
And Marab also expressed that he didn't want to go up in weight, that he didn't want to even like think about fighting Volk. He was like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'll continue dying in my weight class. You know what I mean? On the weight cut rather than go up and fight Volk." So it's really interesting what Marab is going to do going forward. So he is now 20-4 overall, Billy, and he is on a 13 fight win streak, and that puts him in exclusive territory with some of the MMA greats. I believe John Jones, Demetrius Johnson, GSP, Khabib. Those are all fighters with 13 fight win streaks. So to be amongst those names is no small feat. And with this win, Billy, Merab is now the number two pound for pound fighter according to ESPN.
At this point, I think you got to give it to him. He's earned that spot. I think he's toughed out and gotten some real good guys off of the list. And
Definitely.
I'm looking here, and I remember seeing after the fight that Corey Sandhagen came into the ring, and it looked like maybe that is going to be the next fight that's lined up.
Mm,
And that's another kind of like Corey Sandhagen is definitely another kind of a striker guy where I think if Marab drapes over him and hangs on to him and gets close, it's it could be a wrap. I'm not sure what Corey Sandhagen's ground game is like. I'm sure he's got a fairly high purple belt or something like that. But I like the matchup. But like obviously you watched the fight with O'Malley, so I'm sure Corey Sandhagen's probably coming into it with a different game plan or formulating something now.
yeah, so Sanhagen is definitely more so a striker. And if I'm not mistaken, Aljo Sterling, he choked out Corey Sandhagen in their fight back when Aljo was on his descent or ascent,
Right.
excuse me, to his title run. So if Aljamain Sterling tapped out Corey Sandhagen, I mean, Merab trains with Sterling, and Sterling has high praise for Merab's ground game, right? And his cardio and endurance and so forth. So, I mean, it's hard to imagine Corey wanting to engage on the ground or like
Right.
be taken down, right? And also, if I'm not mistaken, I think Corey Sandhagen has recently or is he's already recovered, but he had a knee injury, so that's always dangerous too, knee injury and then especially going down to a ground game and submission guy, uh especially just those transitions and Marab like sprawling like that guy's crazy, man. Like, right, Billy? Like, you see
Oh
him
yeah.
fight, like
Oh yeah.
he's like it's insane to watch him
How
like on the
respectful
ground.
that
Like,
is.
so, but that would be an exciting fight though, Billy. I Now that you mentioned that, that would be a great fight to see stylistically. Striker, shorter ground guy. Sandhagen is a lankier guy, a little bit taller. I mean, he had that vicious flying knee knockout against was
Oh
it
yeah.
Frankie Edgar?
Yeah. Yeah, and then he was like, I didn't want to do that. Like, that's a legend. That's Frankie Edgar, dude. Like, damn.
Legend. Yeah, dude, but oh, dude, that was just filthy. I wish we had like rights to, show that highlight
I
reels,
know, I know.
but wishful thinking. Anyway, Billy, in the co-main event, we also had another title fight. So there was two title fights on the card, and this one was in the women's bantamweight division. We had Pena versus Harrison, which resulted in Kayla Harrison defeating Juliana Pena via submission in round two. She secured it by Kimura, which I think is a very underrated submission move. I'm surprised it's not done so more often, right, in the UFC, because I mean, you look around, a lot of these people, a lot of fighters, like, man, their hand positioning and their arm positioning is terrible. Like, you know what I mean? I
Yep.
guess looking outside in, obviously, I'll just go on the record again. I've never done that, been in that position myself, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like you see how effective it is. Like you would think it would be done so more often. But anyway, uh, Harrison, was that her first or second fight in the UFC, Billy?
I think that was let me fact check it. I believe this was her first. Nope, her third fight in the UFC.
Third fight, okay. So she is now 19-1 overall. Pena moves to 13-6. Harrison secured two of her three takedowns, Billy, and like Merab, she just controlled her opponent on the ground. She had over 6 minutes of control time. And when it comes to Harrison and her next opponent, Billy, it appears that she will face the GOAT of women's MMA, Amanda Nunes, who is eyeing a return, right? That's what it in the cage afterwards. Nunes was in attendance. She was very uh much involved, or I should say, much looking forward to this fight and the result that ultimately took place. She was heavily invested, to say the least. But that appears to be her next opponent, Billy. Your thoughts on that?
I love it. I love her coming out of retirement for a championship fight. Like, obviously, I think she's got to be training in the off season. You'd assume so. But no, I'm here for it. I think it's a perfect matchup. I think Kayla Harrison's still got a little bit more ground game than Amanda Nunes, but Amanda Nunes has got those hands. You know what I'm saying? So um, a great matchup. So like stylistically, I think Harrison has the advantage. And I think with Amanda Nunes being out for a couple years and not having any fights is also going to put her at a disadvantage. Um, so that's I kind of lean Kayla Harrison if I was going to bet, if I was betting man, which I am. Yeah, that's my take. Where are your thoughts on that? Do you think Kayla Harrison, should have taken somebody a little bit lower? Do you think Amanda Nunes deserves this fight just right out to get?
Man, it's like it's really weird because like you look at Amanda, excuse me, and her resume, it speaks volumes, right? Most accomplished MMA fighter, women's MMA fighter, double champ simultaneously, uh, just steamrolled all her opponents.
Pummel.
Uh, really just the only blemish on her resume is that first fight to Pena, right? When
Yep.
she got choked out.
Yep.
Whether that was, a quick tap, looking back on it, right? Uh, hard to say, but nonetheless, she ultimately avenged that loss and gave Pena what one of the most lopsided like losses in UFC title fight
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
Like I think the score was like 50-43.
Oh yeah, she's beat up too.
Like think about that, Billy. You know what I mean? Like 50-45 is losing all the rounds. So if you lose 50-43, yeesh. Just saying. Yeah. But man, I don't know. It's like, and then she retired. Like, is it kind of mirroring a Cejudo situation where like they were on top, like they could have faced this up and coming opponent, but they were kind of on the fence, for whatever reasons, whether that be financially, family wise, blah blah blah. But I don't know, maybe is this fight like happening like a year or two late? Like that's kind of how I see it. Like if this like we said, this is now Harrison's third fight, so I mean she was the dominant champion. Was it PFL?
Yep, PFL.
She came, yeah. So she dominant champion PFL and the other fighting champion league over there, and then she's also a Olympic gold medalist. So like she's accomplished in her own rights. But it seemed that maybe at that point in time, a few years back, maybe Amanda was like, she hasn't proven herself in the MMA world. You know what I mean? PFL is different than UFC. Like, there's no re point in me taking this fight. I'll just retire. But then now she sees how dominant Harrison's been, and then now she's the champ. So she's like kind of backtracking and thinking like, hey, like, I'm still fairly young in age for a women fighter. Uh, there's an opportunity for me just to come back and fight for the belt right away, and it's against the woman that they wanted me to fight previously, way back when. You
Yep.
know what I mean? And now she's proven herself. So I think that's more or less what it comes down to. But with all that being said, it's just I don't really I don't care for that, I guess.
I
Like,
agree.
you know what I mean? Like, fighter when her name was hot, or you know what I mean? I mean, obviously it's gotten like bigger and hotter now, her name, because she's now the champ. But
Right.
I don't know. It's like I guess like, I see both sides, but that's just my thoughts on it.
Nah, I hear you. I hear you. It does go both ways.
Exactly. But congratulations to both Merab and Kayla Harrison, uh, UFC champions. Only imagine what that feeling's like. Because I
No,
go crazy on the UFC video game when I get a knockout.
I know, dude. I can imagine somebody like Dana White coming up and slapping that belt over your shoulder after they raise your hand. You're just like, oh my
I
god.
wonder how terrified Dana was, bro, when Kayla like kissed him on the head, like, you know what I
He
mean?
just grabbed you. He was like, oh
Afterwards.
my god, what's she about to do?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, because oh my, uh, after the weigh-ins, dude, she weighed more than Merab and O'Malley. Kayla
Yeah, shit,
Harrison.
that's crazy. They say weight
Like
class.
after the weight, yeah, like, and they're both bantamweight. You know what I mean? But like, just, like, and she's
Oh yeah,
big, bro. Like she's
she's
like
muscular.
muscular. Like, yeah, it's insane
Oh yeah, she's a little jacked.
for sure. And that's 135. So I'm sure she would love to go to 145 if they
Yep.
brought that division back, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Because I think that's what she fought in PFL, right? 145.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And that was just like a closer to a walking around weight, so she didn't have to cut.
Yeah,
And she probably was definitely
hmm
more comfortable at 145.
for sure. All right, moving on, Billy. We got some golf to discuss. We got the U.S. Open, which is taking place currently. It's this weekend, folks. Uh, over in Pennsylvania, over at Oakmont Country Club. The defending U.S. Open champion is Bryson DeChambeau, and currently, Billy, he is not doing the great. We were talking beforehand. It's funny. Comes to find out, our prediction to win the U.S. Open, folks. Me and Billy picked the same golfer. We both picked Siwoo Kim. He shot a 68 in round one. He's two under par, and at the time he was tied for fifth. Let's see if we can give a update here.
I got he's tied for third now,
Oh, so he's actually even gone up since then. So
minus
yeah,
two.
Billy, that course is brutal. Uh, uh, the hardest golf course, right, in the nation. I mean, I thought previously that uh oh God, what was the one that just happened for the PGA? Or I'm
Um,
drawing a blank, folks. So I have my apologies.
was it the Memorial tournament, like the last tournament, or like
Yeah, Quail Hollow. I'm sorry.
the PGA? Oh yeah, the PGA Championship.
Yeah, the PGA Championship. Yeah, Quail Hollow. They say is a tough course, but now they're saying Oakmont is even more difficult. So so that's crazy. And that rough, they were showing videos, Billy, like
Oh my god.
5, 6 inches thick. Like, deep in the rough. Like you can't even find your golf ball. Like I don't know how they're even getting a club or a wedge through that around the green.
Seriously, like I've been so I don't know if you watch any Grant Horvat videos, but I was watching. They played basically the week before the Open on the same course, and they're just like significant. They're basically scratch golfers, all of them that are golfing there, and they're both, all of them are shooting plus
Hmm.
5, plus 6. Like it is crazy, and like I'm telling you, like watching these videos, like you were saying, just like you drop the ball in the rough and it instantly just like disappears. It is gone. Um, and just like watching some of the chips too in the practice rounds where they're just like
Hmm.
taking so much grass and it doesn't even look like they did anything and the ball just scoots up 5-6 feet and they're taking like full swings and you're like, oh
Hmm.
man, like this is kind of crazy.
The greens too, man. They're like rolling what they say like over 13, 14,
Yeah.
15
Oh yeah.
on their whatever rating that is. So like you hit a putt or you intend to hit a putt, 5 feet, and it ends up going 18 feet. Like that's how much further it rolled. Like that's insane. But update here, folks. The leaderboard, it looks like JJ Spawn, the American, he is the current leader at 4 under par. He fired off Billy a 66. So that is insane.
Man.
And just to give a perspective, folks, out of 156 golfers in last place is a plus 14, 14 over par after one round. That is like a high, 12 handicap score. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh, 100. Like I'd be happy if I hit that on a normal course, to be honest with
Oh, I
you.
guaranteed I would be too. You know what I mean? I just played in a skins tournament this past weekend and shot a 93, and I was like pumped.
I got
Didn't win nothing, but I was like, hey, that's not bad, for the kid. But uh, we'll see how the tournament progresses, folks. There at Oakmont. I'm sure that winning score is going to come closer to even par, Billy. Even I know a lot of the predictions beforehand, they had the winning score being over par. That's how difficult the course is playing.
and I think that just shows how impressive a 66 is at this course. Like
Hmm.
looking at the where the cut's gonna be, it's gonna be like +3 or +4 is where the cut's gonna be, and even then you're like, wow, like that's,
Right,
that's crazy. Like considering that we're watching some of these tournaments where these guys are finishing like 17 or 18 under,
right.
and like it wild.
It's so funny. Like the average Joe, the 20 handicap golfer, they live for tournaments like this when the pros are suffering, right? Because it's like, because I'll throw myself in there. We're doing this at our local course. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
We're
no,
doing this
no,
on the municipal courses. You know what I mean? Exactly. So
no.
like for them to take two, three wedge shots to get onto the green is chef kiss. You know
Oh
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yep. Or watching them like, yeah, when they're like, it's like a 15, 16 foot chip and they roll, 10 feet past, you're like, oh,
Hmm.
I do that.
All the time, bro. Or like they're now 2 and 3 putting. It's
Yeah, 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 yeah.
like yes. Moving on, Billy, we got some baseball to discuss, and there are some players, Billy, who are currently off to uh, an historic season, to say the least, and I should say, or a player specifically, and that is Cal Riley of the Seattle Mariners, Billy, catcher. And I'm sure you love this being a former catcher yourself.
Oh,
Like what this guy's doing behind the plate, or what I should say, what he's doing at the plate as a hitter is insane. Like truly, it's insane. So he has 26 home runs, Billy, at the moment, which has him first among all MLB players. He has 53 RBIs, which is the sixth most in the MLB. And if we want to take it a step further, Billy, his 53 RBIs, he has 11 more than the next closest catcher, which is Austin Wells from the Yankees, who has 42. And Wells is having one of the most like prolific. offensive seasons from a Yankee catcher, like from a home run and RBI standpoint, his average is still a little bit low, but like I think there's only been two catchers in Yankees history with like 30 home runs, 100 RBIs.
Was it
And
Baron
well, there's like
Day?
it's like Yogi Berra and somebody else, dude. You know what I mean? Like way back when. I think it's like Yogi Berra four times. But anywho, uh and then to take it even a step further than that, Billy, Cal Riley, he is projected to hit 63 home runs on the year, Billy. 63. Think about it. Judge hit 60, what did he hit? 62,
62.
right? So this would break Aaron Judge's AL record for home runs, and it would set the mark for catchers all time. By chance, Billy, do you know what the previous record is for home runs in a single season by the catchers?
I want to say it was a Mike Piazza, probably like 40.
Hey, that's a great guess. Great guess, Piazza pull there, but that's kind of a homer pick there with the Mets. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But it's actually Salvador Perez who hit 48 home runs in 2021 for the Royals.
Dang, I didn't even realize Salvy's still
So
like that.
so yeah, so no catcher has ever hit more than 50. Cal Riley's on pace to hit 63 and also finish with 128 RBIs. If he, obviously continues his pace for the second half of the year. But
That's nuts, dude. This is a little bit of the year of the catcher where I'm surprised because I'm
hmm
also looking at White Will Smith out here at the LA Dodgers, dude. The guy is, I think he's batting like 350. Like he only has like I think like 6 or 7 home runs or something like that.
hmm
But putting the stick to work, and then I was going to bring up Austin Wells' year as well. But
hmm
it's finally starting to. It's finally good to see the good hitting catch coming around. It is great, and it's like we've always been. I think that's something that the MLB is missing for the last couple years, or since we've lost Yachty, is a true defensive catcher that can pull it out with the stick anymore. Like I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's any catchers in the MLB that are like, I'm not stealing on this guy. Like,
Contreras there for like a year or two.
yeah, that's true. When he was at the Cubs, and even his brother is honestly pretty good too.
hmm
But yeah, no, I'm pumped to see the catchers showing out and showing out with the stick because like we've always been just more if you're good defensively, you'll find a spot in the lineup. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, exactly.
I like to see it. It makes me happy. But yeah, the year of the catcher,
And he's the everyday catcher.
yeah, doesn't split a
Like,
whole lot. Like yeah, that's I love it. You don't see too many. Yeah, a lot of catchers like even on the Mets these days, like Francisco Alvarez, he splits a lot of time, and you're like,
hmm
I wish to see one or more a little bit like consistently, but it is what it is.
yeah. So shout out to Cal Riley, man. And like I'm praising him, but at the same time, I have to like bring this point up. It still might not be enough, Billy, to be the MVP in the American League, because obviously there's a guy who's doing even more tremendous things. But that is a segment for a whole another day because that would be too long, and I don't want to be show any bias. I think we all know who we're talking about, right?
Aaron.
hmm But another player, Billy, who is having a tremendous season. This side, it's on the other side of the plate, or dish, I should say. So it comes from a pitcher, and it's Andrew Abbott of the Cincinnati Reds, who is pitching lights out. He is a left-handed pitcher, southpaw. In 11 games started, Billy, he's 6-1, has a 1.87 ERA, and he's holding his opponents to a 184 batting average. So this guy is
He's
throwing
dealing.
the ball lights out right now. Yeah, exactly. He's dealing. In his last outing against the Guardians this past Tuesday, he had a complete game shutout. He went 9 innings, 3 hits, 5 Ks, no runs.
Sheesh.
Yeah,
Sheesh.
talk about dealing, right? And which is insane because the Reds as a team, they're 35-34 overall, and they're 6-4 in their last 10. So when this guy's not on the mound, it's
It's
a
bad.
loss.
It's bad, dude.
And I looked at the staff like ERA, they're like middle of the pack. believe they're like the 13 to like 17 range ERA wise. So if it wasn't for this guy's ERA, they'd be at
Be like the worst.
bottom third of the league. You know what I mean?
Wow, that is crazy, dude.
Yeah. So shout out to Andrew Abbott, left-handed pitcher. Uh, absolutely, just dealing right now to say the least. So, Billy, I know you want to give a quick shout out to some teams, right, as a whole rather than some individual players. So I'd rather throw you the ball.
Yep, I'm going to start off. Obviously, you know me. I'm going to be biased. I'm going to shout out the New York Mets, baby. Starting
Hey,
off,
rightfully so, rightfully so. Like they're playing good.
I would say we're the second best record in the MLB right now. We're a game behind the Tigers in that sense for the overall lead there. But I think we're the number one team in the NL by 3 or 4 games. So we got the Dodgers
Yeah.
by a few games. We played them well. We beat them in the series. We've been playing hot, and I want to give a whole shout out to the staff and the starting rotation for the New York Mets. As a whole, the New York Mets lead the MLB in ERA, throwing a 2.8 as a staff. I don't know if I've ever seen, or maybe since the 2015 when we had like Harvey, Syndergaard, DeGrom, and I think even we had Zach Wheeler for like one of
Was
the.
Lugo on the team then?
No, he wasn't on the team then. I think it was like 2 years later we had Lugo. I
Okay,
think he was still in the Red Sox at that time.
gotcha. Okay, I
Um,
remember him coming over though. But yeah, that you guys had a staff at that point, like
yeah,
in
unreal.
that like middle 2010 era.
Oh yeah, we were solid. But yeah, I haven't seen the staff this good, or at least pitching together this well and putting together ball games. Like Diaz is coming in, he's shutting out games. I think he's got right around 14 or 15 saves on the season. And I'm happy to see it. I did. Kodai Senga, throwing like I think he's got like a 1.5 ERA right now. Unfortunately, he's going to be put on the 15-day DL due to a hamstring injury, and he is getting an MRI tomorrow on the
Tough.
13th. So, hope the best for him. He's been injured a lot over the last 2 seasons since we
Hmm.
picked him up, and it's either like a toe injury or he had that elbow thing, and then it was a calf issue. So it's like it seems like it's always something. But I hope him the best of recoveries and to turn things around there.
Has Mania came back yet?
Manaya's not come back yet. I still think he's got like another probably like month or two on his recovery time. I think he just recently started
God,
throwing.
that bodes well for you guys. Yeah, he still hasn't even came back yet.
Oh yeah, and that was like my big hope too. I was like, wow, we're truly like Peterson's been pitching well. Clay Holmes is coming out.
Hmm.
He's got 7 wins on the season. He's been throwing really well. And I was like I said, we said it earlier
Which is annoying.
because anytime he pitched for the Yankees, he was giving up like a 3-run jack, and it was like,
Yes.
wow, every time Clay Holmes gets.
Every single time he came out the pin, it was like walk, 2 hits, home run. It was like like blow save. You know what I mean? It's like what are we
Like, what
doing?
the hell
But
happened?
yeah, yeah, and then all of a sudden like yeah, no, we're gonna turn him back to a starter. And I was like, I'll be the first to admit, I was like, good luck. You know what I mean? I was like, good luck. But hey, prove me wrong, Clay Holmes. Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong. Yeah, prove me right, Clay Holmes. I'm behind you.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with you. Shout out to Clay Holmes. Um, Next person. This one is more of a little bit of an individual shout out here. Um,
Okay.
we talked about this person early on for the Boston Red Sox, adjusting to more of a DH spot than rather being an everyday third baseman. Rafael Devers has found his stride. He's got 57 RBIs. He's got 14 jacks on the season. And considering the Red Sox are not playing well, he's like one of the year only offensive people. Him, Bregman,
Hmm.
and they're the only ones truly producing. So he's having a great, middle of the year, beginning middle of the year. I'm excited to see what he can do by the All Star break. That I don't think he's going to be able to turn the Red Sox season around too much. But I think he's going to be a player that we've always seen it from him. That dude absolutely swings it every year. One of the most consistent. Probably will go down in the Hall of Fame at some point in time.
Yeah, we talked about this, in one of our earlier episodes, Billy, that when this guy's on, he's one of the most electrifying players, like from an offensive standpoint, right? Like this guy could very well hit into the 300s, right? In terms of average, gets you 100 RBIs, gets you 30 home runs, and that's why it was so shocking that he struggled to begin the year. It was like, what's going on here? And I think now that he's settled in and he's producing and surging, we could look back and really pinpoint that to the position change which was affecting him. Like more now that he's settled in to being the everyday DH, like he's back to raking. That's what it was, right? Like we said,
Yep.
it messed with his routine. He had to change his everyday uh schedule, and it was getting to him because he's been the guy at third base for however many years, and then now it's like, yeah, bro, like we only need your bat.
Yeah.
And
Just
like,
a
and
bit.
then yeah, and without his bat, they'd be even worse than what they are currently because they're calling up all their prospects because they need some production from the offensive side, and they ain't getting it from their starters right now, Billy. And so shout out, like great that you brought up Devers because I can only imagine what the Red Sox would be like without him at this point in time.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah, and what's his OPS? It's like nine. Is it eight in the eights or in the nines?
I want to say the eights, but let me give a quick look right quick.
Like 860 something off the top of my head.
Oh no, it's a 911.
911. Hey, whoa,
Oh,
interesting number
yeah.
there. I hate my freaking sense of humor. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks, for the listening. But we'll move on with that. With that being said, there, we'll go to the basketball court, and we got the NBA Finals, Billy, which is in full swing at the moment. It's been some time since we last discussed some basketball. So ultimately, in the finals right now, currently is the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder, and that series, Billy, is currently in favor of the Pacers, 2 games to 1. Pacers won Game 3 by a score of 116 to 107, so a 9-point win. Benedict Mathurin had a game high 27 points on 9 of 12 shooting in 22 minutes off the bench, Billy. So talk about being productive and maximizing, excuse me, your minutes on the floor. Uh, that said, their star point guard Tyrese Halliburton, he did have a near triple double. He logged 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 9 assists. He went 9 of 17 from the floor. So they got their production and some from their two guards there. And I also believe Pascal Siakam also chipped in with a 20 piece. So, you
Okay.
know, when you got a trio of guys scoring 20, it's going to be hard to stop. On the flip side, Billy, the Thunder, they got to the finals by defeating the Timberwolves. Uh, I should now backtrack and go back to the Pacers. They got to the finals by defeating the Knicks, so shout out to them. First NBA Finals game in Indy in like 25 years, Billy. So that atmosphere was probably insane to be there. Like, you know what I mean? Game 4 is set for Friday, June 13th at 6:30 p.m. Mountain. That's Mountain Time, which is our time, Billy, since we're recording Mountain Time. Billy, I'd just like to get your quick thoughts on the series thus far. And are you at all shocked that this is the NBA Finals matchup that's taking place?
I was a little bit surprised. Like, if you would have asked me at the beginning of the NBA playoffs if I thought the Pacers were going to be making a finals run,
Hmm.
I would have probably said no. I think like they had a shot, but like I would have gone a different route for sure. Um, but with that being said, we've talked about it before. Just the bench that's coming alive for the Pacers, like being able to have
Hmm.
T.J. McConnell and have these other people that are can get a 10, 5, and 5, or even just like some steals, and some extra rebounds, and a block or two. Like it truly means that much more, and it is going to be a tough fought series. What was the final score in game three? It was 116 to
07, 107.
107.
Yeah.
You know,
So 9 point game.
that's three shots. Like it's a good turnover too. It's a
Hmm.
turnaround that really only takes a couple minutes to kind of flip the game. So I like to see Indianapolis take it at home for game three or game four. I think it's highly likely. I think with that atmosphere, like you were saying, it is truly going to be something spectacular. And I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, in my Adams State education, like Indiana is the birthplace of basketball.
Hey,
Or
you might be right there. You have Dr. Naismith, huh?
yes, sir.
The freaking the peach basket, for the hoop.
Yep. Yep. Shout out to HPP 102.
Fact. What was it? Health, health something, right?
Health, performance, and
That's
physical.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I agree with you, Billy. I am too a little bit shocked that this is the NBA Finals matchup. Uh, I believe, well, out of the East, I think I did say the Pacers were gonna get there, but that's just because I'm a New York Knicks hater. So it's like I didn't really want them to get to the finals, so I was like rooting for the Pacers. And then I also wanted the Wolves to get there, but they ultimately lost. But from all the teams that were, remaining in the playoffs, like from the second round on, I think these are the two most complete teams from like a uh passing standpoint and like rotation standpoint. Like the rotation. Like you're gonna get 7, 8 players deep. Like who gets the shots in which situation. Like who you're playing through, right? And they more importantly, the pecking order in which those shots are gonna come. Like for OKC, it's gonna be SGA, Jalen Williams, Chet. Like those are gonna be the guys that are gonna get majority of the shots. And then you got Caruso who's coming off the bench. He's playing a lot of minutes now, but he's now a defensive assignment primarily. Like, hey, we need you for your defense, right? And then when you look at the Pacers, we're playing through uh, Halliburton, Siakam, and then Mathurin off the bench, right? And then, but we're also letting McConnell pick his moments. We're letting Toppin pick his moments. Turner pick his moments at times, right? So it just like, man, it's great all around basketball like that's being played, like the back and forth, like in game three, like watching SGA just create off the dribble in that pick and roll. Like this dude was so tough to contain. Like he was getting anything he wanted, like spinning in the lane. I can't remember who he put. He put someone in a spin cycle, dude, and I was like, ooh, like you can't guard that. You know what I mean? Like he drove left, spun, like boom, he was at the rim. Like
Yeah,
it was
and
just so
up and in, you're like, oh god.
yeah, so effortless. You know what I mean? So great series nonetheless. Uh, be interesting to see if the Thunder could even the series and take it back to OKC tied 2-2, or will they head back down 3 games to 1? Uh, man, keep tabs on that one there, Billy.
I like it.
That's a
I'm looking
great
for
great series. You know what I mean? I know it's heartbreaking for you as a
it.
as
Mags.
a Nuggets fan, but keeping it basketball related, Billy, we got some WNBA to discuss. And specifically the New York Liberty as a team. They are off to a tremendous start. They are 9-0, the only undefeated team left in the WNBA. They are the top offensive team and one of the top defensive teams. So they are scoring 90.4 points per game, Billy, only allowing 71.4 points per game. Their differential, is a plus 19. So they are winning by nearly 20 points a game. Uh, the 90.4 points per game has them as the top scoring team in the league. They also lead the league in field goal percentage as a whole with 47.8%. They also average the most blocks per game and the most steals per game with 5.3 blocks and 9.7 steals per game, respectively. So talk about getting it done on both ends of the court, Billy. Um, your quick thoughts on the Liberty as a whole before we get into their big three specifically.
Mm. Well, I guess I don't want to ruin it.
No, no, yeah, go ahead. Like their big three folks is Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones, and that does not get any better from a fit standpoint and from a skill standpoint. You got a lethal shooter in Ionescu at the guard position. You got a versatile forward in Brianna Stewart, and that is still in spite of her, injury past, with her Achilles. Like she's still out here dominating at this level. We'll get into that a little bit further here shortly. And then you got Jonquel Jones holding it down at the center position. Talk about dominant and being skilled at the same time from a center position. But Billy, if you want to get a little bit deeper into them into statistically individually, go ahead. I will more than happily let you do so.
Perfect. Like, yeah, I would just go back in and I look at, some of the last couple years in the All Star votings, and Brianna Stewart and
Yeah.
Sabrina Ionescu were right there, 4 and 5 or 5 and 6 or whatever it
Mm-hmm.
is every year. So to be able to have that consistency with all of these players on your team is truly what is going to take this team to a
Yeah.
championship or championship level. And obviously they are on the trajectory to do so. Like they have all the right things. They're got the experience,
Mm-hmm.
they got the right coaching, and ultimately like it's just a matter of staying healthy for for the big three per se. I even think it's like you can rest some people, you can move your lineup around enough to where you're getting them the right amount of rest, but you're still, playing them enough to where they're, getting all these, 20 almost triple doubles damn near it seems like every
Yeah.
single game.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Like, uh, Jonquel Jones missed one of the games the other night, and they still won. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and when we look at Jones specifically, she's averaging 13.9 points, 10.3 rebounds, 1.3 blocks per game, Billy. They missed that and still got the job done. And not to mention, she's shooting 47% from the floor overall and 42% from three-point range as a center. Like, and she is a like traditional center too. Like, she's not like this like crazy athletic, up and down the floor type of center. Like, she's a traditional player, like post up, back to the basket type of player who
Yep.
has then expanded her range. She's shooting 42% from deep. Like, think about that.
And especially
Like
with her
Jokic.
height, like how do you like especially how do you guard something like that? Like you can't
Hmm.
have you put your center at the 3 point line, or else two passes and it's a easy down low bucket. Like they're what can you
Exactly.
do?
Yeah. And then she's the third leading scorer, Billy. uh, Brianna Stewart leads the team as she's at 19 points per game, which has her seventh most in the entire league currently. Uh, on top of that, Ionescu is averaging 17.9 points per game, which has her 10th. So they got the seventh leading scorer and the 10th leading scorer in the whole league as their 1-2 punch. And then you add Jonquel Jones as their third option, more or less,
Right.
which is insane. And Ionescu herself, she's shooting 33% from three-point range and 93% from the foul line.
That's unreal. That's unreal. That's video game numbers, dude.
Yeah. And I mean, she was 2 years ago the three-point champion. I think this past year Alicia Gray won it for the Dream. So, I mean,
That sounds
but but anyway, Ionescu is one of the most prolific three-point shooters since she's came into the league, since being drafted out of Oregon. But yeah, the Liberty the way they're currently constructed, they are well on their way to having the opportunity to repeat as champions. Uh, they are lethal, Billy, like as a whole, like on both sides of the court, on both ends.
maybe there's just something in the water in New York between the Mets and the Yankees and the Liberty. Like it is, there's something going on down there.
It must have stopped at the New York Giants facility though.
Yeah, didn't quite make it down that far.
Shots
Didn't make it to
fired, big
Jersey.
time,
Yeah,
huh?
didn't make it to
That
Jersey.
was a little harsh. That was a little harsh. I'm sorry. I have no room to talk football wise. My team is terrible. But that was too easy. That was like a layup, like you know what I mean, right
Yeah,
there. But
that was
like,
an alley oop right there. Did you
yeah,
talk to him
you
back?
served that one up too easy there, Billy. Them and the Jets, like
That's it. It's because they play in Jersey, dude. It just didn't make it down that far.
that's what it was. Oh, that's what it was. But that's all we have for today, folks. Great discussion there, Billy. Everything that we talked about, some historic uh paces currently being set over in the MLB. Cal Riley, my gosh, just what he's doing there in Seattle, tremendous. Shout out to him. Uh, Over in the NBA, the Pacers are currently up 2-1 on the Oklahoma City Thunder in the NBA Finals. Uh, UFC 316, the recap, excuse me, Merab and still in the men's bantamweight division. Over in the women's bantamweight division, Kayla Harrison and New defeated Juliana Pena. And our last topic, or excuse me, before we got to our last topic, over on the golf course, uh, our prediction: Siwoo Kim for the U.S. Open in good in a good spot. Billy, he's tied third right now, two under par. See if he gets it done, and then the New York Liberty playing unreal basketball right now.
It's out.
But make sure to let us know what your thoughts are, folks. Leave us comments over on YouTube or on Spotify. Make sure to vote in our poll in Spotify if you're listening there. If you're watching over on YouTube, uh, we appreciate it. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, turn on the notification bell for alerts. Follow us on our social media platforms. We'll make sure to put that over on the screen. And we'll see you next time. This is the Matt Gets It podcast.